Thank you, Mr. Chairman, for allowing me to participate in this discussion. And I think my first question will go to Mr. Atwell because he alluded to it. Out of nearly 11 million participants in Florida 2020 election, the Florida Department of State receives 262 complaints of election fraud and found reason to refer only 75 cases to law enforcement, which is less than 1/1,000 of a percent. In Florida, Senate Bill 524 recently passed, which created a new Office of Election, Crime, and Security. This office is responsible for conducting inquiries into alleged election crimes and allowing Florida governor to appoint his own special officers in every region of offices in the State Department of Law Enforcement. Can you speak on how election police units could give partisan and state politician control over how elections are conducted and scrutinized? And do you think this approach of election security will open the door for voting intimidation, harassment, a nonpartisan election administration trying to do their job?
Well, thank you for the question. There's a lot to say there. As far as giving partisan officials more of a role in tracking election problems or addressing election problems or violations of law, this office sits directly under the Secretary of State. She's overseeing, or he is overseeing it now. And our Secretary of State, it really gets at a fundamental issue with the structure of our Secretary of State's office. We had an elected Secretary of State up till 2000. I think a lot of us remember what happened in 2000 in Florida with Katherine Harris. We went to an appointed Secretary of State. So that Secretary of State is appointed by the governor and serves at that governor's pleasure. It's very much an instrument of the governor. And this law enforcement office is directly under it. I think it's also important to point out that in Florida this past session, this wasn't the only significant law enforcement entity created. Our legislature gave our governor twice the funding he asked for to reinstitute or reactivate a state guard. So a lot of us have questions about how this new office can work in conjunction with this new state guard that the governor has access to. And, I think after last election, a lot of us are on guard at how this entity could be used to challenge results, how it could be used to challenge the it could be used to build evidence, to challenge the certification results at the local or state level, maybe create the momentum to overturn them. And it's clear that that's no longer a far-out possibility. That's very much on the table and something we're concerned that can happen if there's a contentious race, say the U.S. Senate race. It's very competitive this cycle. If it didn't go the right way for the governor and his party, we could see him using every instrument at his disposal, as we saw the president do this past cycle at the federal level. So we're very concerned about just how this office can be used to perpetuate the myth that we have insecure elections, how it can be used to just undermine specific results in counties or at the state level. And, I think the fact that this is being looked at as a model for other states is very disturbing. This is not a model. We really hope other states do not follow Florida's lead on this.
Okay, reclaiming my time, I'm going to ask Ms. Hope, could she speak to that?
Yes, in 2000, I was chair of the local Democratic Party, and we're the only county in the state of Florida that filed a complaint with the Secretary of State's office, Katherine Harris, and spoke to Mr. Clayton about irregularities in our voting office election over in Gaston County because people were not allowed to vote. We noticed that there were complaints about the voting machines and those type of things. So we filed a complaint with the Secretary's office. They sent a gentleman over that came over to monitor the election, and he did not contest anything that happened during that election, including the supervisor of elections sending people away. So that office has some irregularities in itself. So I would think that we would want that office elected by the people, the secretary's office, and have something in there. The term elections police is intimidating in itself because the citizens don't know if there are going to be officers at the polling place. There are several things they do not know about this process. To do that during an election year is intimidating also. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I yield back. My time is running.
Gentleman yields